nioshe kila kitu mara mbili.
Sikuwa na otherwise, nikarudia Ariel.
Mi hupata clean and fresh results kwa mwosho mmoja tu.
Ariel ndio siri yangu. Sasa story yangu iko popular sana.
Ariel, usafi bora kwa mwosho mmoja tu.
Live from Citizen TV, this is JKL with Jeff Koinange.
And you know, if it's Wednesday, it's all about those three letters on the keyboard that follow each other. JKL. Thanks so much for joining us on this very first Wednesday in August. We have a great show for you today. Our guest is Peter Munya, party leader PNU. He's also former cabinet secretary and the first governor of the county of Meru. Ayub, it looks like the mountain is becoming a slippery slope.
Tough undertaking, certainly. So it's an addition of Munya and the mountain.
Munya and the mountain. And he and DCP leader Rigathi Gachagua looks like they're getting a loggerheads.
Basically, the former deputy president said, ukikuja usitembee kama mti.
Whatever that means. Start tweeting. We have a great show at Koinange Jeff.
At Ayub Abdikadir.
At Citizen TV Kenya, the hashtag JKLive. JKLive begins right now. Tonight.
Wewe uko peke yako unatembea kama miti. You are alone. Ati you order masungumuzo ati wa hoteli. How do you talk to somebody ana watu? Sisi nakwambia wewe enda sanya watu. Then tukuje kwa meza tuanze kuketi.
What are you bringing to the table? Gachagua fires back at fellow opposition leaders over their political clout.
I would like to tell His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, you are the biggest impediment to the unity of the opposition of this country. Wewe wacha majivuno na kiburi, kudharau viongozi wengine wa upinzani.
Stop belittling fellow leaders. Matiang'i allies accuse Gachagua of undermining opposition unity as cracks widen in the united opposition.
Eric kept on begging his brother, get me out, if you can, because I have been beaten here. Remember, this is just on the same day of arrest.
Tortured in police custody, family of a border rider who died after detention at Muthaiga police station demands justice.
This is more than an emergency telephone number. It is a national lifeline.
Overhauling emergency response. President Ruto launches a 24-hour national ambulance dispatch center to speed up emergency evacuation. Yola Nzale is our sign language interpreter. DCP party leader Rigathi Gachagua now says he is not pushing for the folding up of political parties in the Mount Kenya region, but will not be drawn into coalition talks with outfits that have not consolidated their political bases. In response to criticism by DP leader Justin Muturi, PNU's Peter Munya and DEP's Lenny Kivuti on his attitude towards other opposition parties, the former deputy president said he was not calling for the consolidation of support before any talks on a joint opposition candidate could be held. He added that all parties in the Mount Kenya region would compete at every level except the presidency. Gachagua called on leaders who had taken him on to popularize their parties before meeting at the negotiation table. Kama Mwangi kicks us off from Nyeri County.
DCP leader Rigathi Gachagua was meeting delegations from Mathioya and Kangema at his Wamunyoro home. But a brewing rift between his DCP party and DP, PNU and DP was unavoidable. Gachagua saying he was not pushing for the dissolution of other parties in the Mount Kenya region.
I want to clarify today that DCP and Rigathi Gachagua welcome all political parties. They come. We compete fairly. The only thing hatutaki mashindano ni kitimo ya rais peke yake. Hiyo tunataka tuelewane zote.
The former DP saying he had actively campaigned for the DP candidate in the Mbeere North by-election, which he cited as proof that he had nothing against competing parties. He said DCP as a party had experienced growth because of the effort he and allied leaders put into popularizing it across the region and other parts of the country. He told fellow opposition leaders to build support using the July 16 Olkalau by-election to drive his point home.
Sasa wewe Munya na PNU Olkalau bado fika. Sasa mkapata kula 28, unapata aibu. Kwa sasa ukikosa kufanya kampeni utapata kura.
The DCP leader said parties in the Mount Kenya region would work together on the joint opposition presidential ticket and compete at all other levels. This message seemingly aimed at the DP and DP leaders, who he implied wanted preferential treatment.
Lakini ya governor Embu niko na mtu. Meru niko na mtu. So how those two governors labda ndio wanalia. That one I cannot help them. Hiyo watajitetea kwa raia.
Gachagua ruled out coalition talks at this stage, saying he was out to consolidate his support and asking all other opposition leaders to do the same. He said the NAC opposition candidate in 2002 was only known in October, 2 months before the December general election of that year.
How do we talk with the people who have not consolidated anything? Sasa wewe kama unakuja peke yako kwa mkutano na hii ni siasa ya kutafuta urais, utaongea na nani? Wewe uko peke yako unatembea kama miti. You are alone at you order masukumuso at wa hoteli. How?
He asked fellow opposition leaders to call a meeting to strategize on protection of the vote in next year's general election, dismissing Interior CS Kipchumba Murkomen's warning against such undertakings.
We have already given political direction. Kura itapigwa na ilindwe. Hiyo maneno imeisha. Sasa wanabweka huko msilinde, hiyo ni kuongea unaongea. The matter is already decided na arrangements inaendelea.
The opposition appears to be struggling on the issues of a joint presidential ticket and how to approach other levels of elective competition, with the differences among the leaders starting to crystallize. Kama Mwangi, Citizen TV in Nyeri.
Staying with the opposition, a simmering power struggle within the outfit spilled into the open, with Jubilee Party leaders launching a scathing attack on DCP leader Rigathi Gachagua, accusing him of arrogance. Speaking during a visit of Kuria East and Kuria West in Migori County, the Jubilee team led by Deputy Party Leader Dr. Fred Matiang'i called for the unity of the outfit if they are to unseat President William Ruto next year. Crispin Otieno was on the campaign trail and filed the following report.
As thousands turned up to welcome the Jubilee Deputy Party leader in Kegonga and Isebania, the dominant message shifted from rallying support to defending the place of every political party within the opposition alliance. Leading the charge was Kitutu Chache South Member of Parliament Anthony Kibagendi, who accused DCP leader Rigathi Gachagua of elevating himself above other coalition partners and warned that such conduct could fracture the unity the opposition hopes to build ahead of the next general election.
I would like to tell His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, you are the biggest impediment to the unity of the opposition of this country. Wewe wacha majivuno na kiburi, kudharau viongozi wengine wa upinzani. Wewe jiheshimu kama kiongozi wa upinzani. Wakikuyu ni watu wazuri, lakini wewe unaleta majivuno na kiburi, na hatutakubali uendelee kudharau makabila madogo madogo, sivyo?
Kibagendi went further arguing that the opposition existed long before Gachagua joined its ranks, and warned that continued supremacy battles could hand President William Ruto a political advantage in 2027.
Wewe Rigathi, tunakuambia heshima si utumwa. Ninajua utanijibu na nitaendelea kukujibu. Wewe naona ni kama unataka Ruto arudi. Nyinyi mnataka Ruto arudi kama rais? No!
But amid escalating rhetoric, Dr. Fred Matiang'i struck a more conciliatory tone, urging opposition leaders to resolve their differences through dialogue and remain focused on their shared objective.
Si mnataka tuungane? Mimi naendelea kuongea na wale wazee wetu, Mheshimiwa Gachagua, Mheshimiwa Kalonzo, Mama Martha Karua, ndugu yetu Sifuna, tutaongea na yeye sisi wote ili tukae pamoja. Mheshimiwa Eugene Wamalwa, hii timu ni kubwa, wanapita Munya, Mheshimiwa anatembea, tutaungana sisi wote.
The calls for restraint were echoed by Jubilee Secretary General Moitalel Ole Kenta and Deputy Party Leader Jeremiah Kioni, who rallied support behind Matiang'i while emphasizing that unity, not political dominance, will determine the coalition's success.
Hana mambo ya wizi wa mambo ya mali ya umma, hana mambo ya uadui na mtu. Hata ukisikia kwa sauti zake za siasa, hana matusi.
The leaders also turned their attention to President William Ruto's administration, accusing it of presiding over a worsening economic and social situation, while urging Kenyans to rally behind the opposition ahead of the next general election.
Tumesema kazi imeshinda Mheshimiwa Ruto. Kazi yake ni kuiba mashamba ya serikali, ni kuandika watu kazi wa ukoo wake.
William Ruto, afya umeharibu. William Ruto, security iko chini.
Matiang'i ndio dawa ya makosa ya hii serikali leo. Tumekubaliana.
Crispino, TNO Citizen TV, Kuria, Migori County.
Peter Munya is on the bench with Jeff, and let's now flip onto the other side of the political establishment, where President William Ruto is now faulting the united opposition for opposing next week's scheduled national dialogue on a roadmap towards the realization of a first world economy. The head of state is also daring the flag bearer of the opposition parties to face him at the ballot during next year's general election, saying Kenyans will elect their next president based on merit and not roadside slogans. Citizen TV's Seth Olale has that report.
Sana Mheshimiwa Rais.
While hosting sheikhs drawn from all the 47 counties at State House, Nairobi, President William Ruto used the occasion to defend the upcoming national dialogue on a roadmap towards the realization of a first world economy.
Hii maendeleo wengine wamefanya, tunaweza kufanya hata na zaidi. Na tuko na uwezo. Na ndio nimependekeza Wednesday next week tarehe 12. Mimi nataka tuanzishe mazungumzo kama wa Kenya.
Leaders of the united opposition faulted for opposing the initiative due to their alleged selfish interests.
Kuna watu wanafikiri watatuchezea karata ya kamari. Kasongo must go, alafu atiwapite. Hapana, ikae namna hiyo.
The head of state urging religious leaders to shun the united opposition, accusing the faction of spreading hate among Kenyans.
Mpango wako naye, sera wako naye, agenda wako naye, mpango wako naye. Hata sitaki.
President Ruto declaring that he is ready to face the would-be flag bearer of the united opposition in next year's presidential polls.
Watapita namna gani? Na vile tuko macho. You have to do the difficult task, my friend. Utuambie wewe cost of living, how are you planning to reduce the cost of living? Utuambie.
The government announcing the ratification and establishment of the Islamic Foundation next month.
Hatuwezi kusahau sisi. You have returned back the dignity of the Muslim community.
Tusimame kwa hiari yetu, kwa upendo wetu, kwa uzalendo wetu.
Seth Olale, Citizen TV.
Ambao umefanya mingi.
Kenyans can now access emergency response 24 hours a day by dialing 922. In a major overhaul of the country's emergency medical response, President William Ruto, who officially presided over the launch of the National Ambulance Dispatch Center, which connects over 600 accredited public and private ambulances, including emergency fleet from the county governments, the Kenya Red Cross and St. John Ambulance into a single digital command system. Under the new arrangement, emergency evacuation and the first 24 hours of emergency care will be free for all Kenyans, regardless of whether or not you are registered with the Social Health Authority. Brenda Wanga with the details of how the new system works and what it means for critical care across the country.
Right at the heart of the Social Health Authority building lies the nerve center of an operation that is set to revolutionize emergency response in the country, not just medical, but natural and man-made ones as well. The National Dispatch Center will see the coordination of medical responses and emergency evacuation across 47 counties, a move that the government says could bridge the gap between life and death.
We are rolling out the universal access to emergency medical services. Your Excellency, as I conclude, SHA, together under the guidance and stewardship of the Ministry of Health, will now focus on 4 key pillars that will ensure these EMS services are sustainable.
From this center, nearly 600 ambulances spread across the countries will be coordinated and dispatched to offer services to those in urgent need. And this is how it will work. When a caller dials 922, trained medical dispatchers will conduct immediate clinical triage. Using satellite and GPS technology, dispatchers will locate the nearest available ambulance indicated in real time as green for available or red for engaged. Crucially, the system does not simply send the patient to the closest hospital. It maps real-time bed capacity and specialty care to route the ambulance to the facility best equipped to handle the specific emergency.
Ambulance evacuation and the first 24 hours of emergency treatment will be paid for through the emergency, chronic, and critical illness funds at the approved tariffs. This protection applies whether the patient is registered with SHA or not, and whether or not they have paid for SHA. No deposit, no guarantee, no negotiation, no relatives running around looking for money. Everything will be taken care of.
To prevent misuse, emergency evacuation qualifies under specific life-threatening medical conditions. This includes severe road traffic trauma, acute cardiac events, stroke, severe respiratory distress, acute poisoning, and critical obstetric emergencies such as complicated labor. Financially, the government's Emergency, Chronic, and Critical Illness Fund covers 100% of the ambulance transport and stabilizing medical procedures for the initial 24-hour window. Once the critical 24-hour stabilization phase elapses, financial management seamlessly transitions. Registered SHA members fall back onto their primary health package or capitation benefits, while non-registered patients are transitioned into standard facility billing or registered on-site.
Whether the Kenyan will be picked by an ambulance, he's taken to a hospital and the hospital will ask for a deposit. Maybe they don't have that deposit, that amount of money. Then they go to the next hospital. Then they go to the next hospital. In the end, that patient dies inside the ambulance, or even there's no ambulance to pick him. Today, you are making history by making sure that emergency care, as provided for in the Constitution, is going to be actualized.
Health sector stakeholders emphasize that technology alone is only half the battle. Institutional discipline and facility compliance will decide its success. With the 922 command center live around the clock, the government promises that financial status will no longer determine survival in a medical emergency. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
And the family of the late Eric Otieno, a boda operator who died mysteriously after his arrest and detention at Muthaiga police station, is demanding for the arrest of all those officials involved in his arrest and alleged assault inside the station. Otieno, who was pronounced dead on arrival at Mama Margaret Uhuru Hospital on Sunday night, was reportedly released to the family after his condition deteriorated. While in custody, an autopsy conducted on Tuesday confirmed he died from multiple injuries to the abdomen, consistent with the beatings he sustained while in custody. Gatete Njoroge has that report.
Overwhelmed by emotions, relatives of the late Eric Otieno broke down minutes before a news conference convened by the family, lawyers and human rights defenders. Otieno, a boda-boda operator from Mathare, was arrested on Saturday morning for what the police claimed he was preparing to commit a felony. But the events subsequent to his arrest is what remains a puzzle. A visit by the brother on Saturday at 4 p.m. painted a worrying picture.
Eric kept on begging his brother, get me out, if you can, because I have been beaten here. Remember, this is just on the same day of arrest, all right? Arrested at 10, brother goes to see him later in the evening on the same day at 4, and he could not even stand.
The family says there are unconfirmed reports that he was taken to hospital on Sunday morning before returning back to the station. He would later be released under mysterious circumstances. On Sunday night, even after the family failed to raise 10,000 shillings cash bail that police were allegedly demanding for his release.
By the time he was released, by 11 p.m., while he was being rushed to Mama Margaret Uhuru Hospital, he died on the way. So he was pronounced dead on arrival.
A post-mortem on the body confirmed he died from massive internal bleeding due to blunt abdominal trauma, which indicated he was hit in the abdominal area. Members of the Law Society of Kenya demanding for the arrest of those responsible.
We want the CCTV footage of this police station in Muthaiga to be obtained by IPOA and also Kenya National Commission for Human Rights, that this evidence is not tampered, and also an account of the recordings at the OB.
We are having prime suspects out, yet the law is not being applied because investigations are ongoing. And as we saw in the Albert Ojwang case, they ended up being the prime suspects. So even by them being out there, there is high possibility that they are interfering with these evidences.
We want accountability of IPOA. For how long will we continue complaining about excesses of the police? Yet tuko na institution ya IPOA yenye inafaa kuwa ikifanya kazi kuzuia haya mauaji.
Police spokesperson Mushiri Nyaga, in a statement, says DCI commenced investigations into the tragic incident when it happened, but the matter has since been taken over by IPOA. Mushiri says National Police Service will cooperate with IPOA in conducting a thorough, impartial and timely investigation. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
The government is proposing to scrap university scholarships altogether and replace the same with loans. Learners placed in public universities will be given 100% funding, with the entire amount set to be a loan repayable once employment is secured. The new university funding bill, which is currently before education stakeholders, seeks to consolidate all higher education funding under a single framework to be managed by an authority, as Emily Chabet now reports.
The Ministry of Education is once again proposing sweeping reforms to university funding through the Tertiary Education Placement and Funding Bill currently before Parliament. Unlike the current model where some students receive scholarships while others receive a mix of scholarships and loan based on need, the new proposal places all government funding under one authority, with beneficiaries expected to repay the funds after completing their studies.
This new bill proposes to address 4 significant things, which I would like to submit. The first one is on access of funding. The second one is adequacy. The third one is sustainability, to ensure that the funds will always be available and the universities who are the beneficiaries will always be available. the funds will be available to them.
Graduates who secure formal employment will be required to disclose their loan status to their employers immediately upon employment to facilitate loan deductions. Those in informal employment will instead be required to enter into a repayment agreement with the Higher Education Loans Authority, outlining the mode and frequency of repayment.
We are revamping the legal framework to create a single funding authority, consolidating funding avenues, and improve data management by creating a centralized database. The funding authority will have power to utilize non-traditional resource mobilization mechanisms such as education bonds and capital markets to ensure that there are adequate resources to support our students.
We have 56.7 billion allocated by this house to help. Universities Fund has got 30.9 billion, and the TVET scholarship has been allocated 9.2 billion. These funds are being supported by different institutions, and this is what we are working on, to bring them together and use the synergies of that money to be able to raise more funding.
To safeguard borrowers, the proposed law caps loan deductions at no more than 25% of a beneficiary's earnings. The bill seeks to integrate sources of funding and bring together separate funding streams into a sustainable financing mix.
We will have a bond system which will be raised through the capital markets. We will have a savings scheme where the parents can save funds for their students when they go to the university. The Act proposes enhancement of loan repayments so that we can be able to grow loan repayments. And the last one is a proposal to be able to raise funds using concessional loans that would be from development partners.
The bill also grants the authority powers to recover any outstanding amounts as civil debts, allowing it to pursue legal action against loan defaulters where necessary. The bill has already been tabled before the National Assembly's Education Committee and will now proceed to be debated by members of Parliament before lawmakers decide whether to approve the new funding model. Emily Chebet, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Detectives from the DCI are in pursuit of a suspect allegedly linked to motor vehicle theft and drug trafficking who disappeared from Kahawa Sukari a week ago. The suspect, identified as Samuel Omondi Audi, is alleged to have rented a vehicle from Utawala after telling the owner he was traveling to Mombasa for a 10-day trip. The vehicle owner later discovered that the car's tracking device had been removed and dumped in Kangundo, raising fears that the vehicle had been stolen. Detectives have launched investigation to trace the suspect and recover the missing vehicle. Ben Kiroi has the details of that report.
Just days after being leased, this brand new Mazda CX-5 seemingly vanished without a trace, with its owners later discovering that the vehicle's GPS tracking device had been removed and dumped in Kangundo, Machakos County. Detectives are now pursuing a man suspected of using hired vehicles to facilitate drug trafficking. According to investigators, Samuel Omondi Audi allegedly rented the Mazda CX-5 through a car hire agent, telling the owner Martin Maranga Nyandusi that he needed the vehicle for a 10-day trip to Mombasa. Convinced that the transaction was legitimate and acting on the recommendation of a fellow rental agent, Nyandusi released the vehicle. His driver delivered it to the suspect in Kahawa Sukari off Thika Road on July 23rd. 2 days later, after noticing the vehicle had remained stationary, the owner became suspicious. When he followed the signal from the tracking system, he found only the vehicle's GPS tracking device, which had been removed and dumped.
Venye alichukua hiyo gari immediately akaenda Kitui some 2 hours. Tena kidogo akarudi Kangundo Road Choska hapo. Kangundo Road hapo gari ikapoteza track hapo. Toka hapo tukaanza kutafuta. Kuita hiyo dereva wake pia ametusaidia kutupeleka mahali jamaa anaishi lakini hatumpati kabisa.
The incident was reported to police, who say the suspect is already on their radar of alleged drug trafficking activities. Detectives believe he may have been using hired vehicles to transport narcotics, with the latest case fitting a pattern under investigation. Police records indicate that Audi is facing an ongoing court case and has previously been arrested on drug trafficking allegations. In March 2024, he was arrested along the Keroka Sotik Road after allegedly being found transporting cannabis in a rented Nissan Tida. 4 months later, he was arrested again in Kibra, Nairobi, after allegedly evading a police operation on the Kisii-Migori highway. Investigators claim he was transporting narcotics in a Nissan X-Trail.
Kuna polisi wametuambia kumbe polisi wako na faili yake kwanza wa Kisumu Central. Mahali tulisikia ni kama ameonekana hapo. Polisi wa Kisumu Central wako na habari yake. Kumbe ni jamaa kuna kesi kama 3 mpaka hata amekosa kwenda kotini mara moja. Pia wao wanamtafuta.
Tunaendelea kujitahidi kwa kuambia wenzetu tukipata mtu kama huyu Samuel Audi ambaye amekuwa notorious, tunajaribu kunotify wafanyabiashara wenzetu wengine kwamba ukipatana na mtu kama huyu ama mwenzake unafaa ukwe nini, ukwe nganga ili usije ukaingia kwa shida.
Detectives investigating the latest case say the suspect's last non-mobile phone signal placed him in Kisumu, where efforts to trace him are continuing. Ben Kirui, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Time for a break.
That's right. Once before, let's remind you that our guest tonight is former cabinet secretary and the first governor of Meru County. He's now a party leader for PNU, the late Mwai Kibaki's party. Sio?
Yeah.
It looks like there's a little tussle happening between him and the man from Wamunyoro. Yeah. What's going on? What's going on?
It seems like he has extended the conclave in Nyeri County.
So
pretty much, yeah.
And also this battle between east and west mountain.
Of the mountain.
The mountain is getting slippery. It's a slippery slope. Keep tweeting at Koi9KJF.
At Ayub of the Cardio.
At Citizen TV came the hashtag JKLive. JKLive takes a break. We'll be back. In the meantime, coming up.
Thanks for staying with us. Investigators have been granted 21 days to hold Emmanuel Githua Kiburi, a suspect in the murder of Kennedy Kibet Ngeno. The Makadara Law Court granted the custody order after the prosecution cited pending witness statements, forensic sampling at the government chemist, and a post-mortem examination that is yet to be concluded. They also warned that the respondent could interfere with witnesses and noted public hostility against him. Githua will spend the 21 days in custody at the Industrial Area Police Station as investigations continue.
Court filings at Makadara Law Courts indicate that investigators traced the suspect's black Suzuki, registration number KDD 428B, and arrested him 4 days later. The prosecution sought 21 days of detention, citing unfinished witness statements, pending forensic analysis, and fears of interference with the evidence.
I'm seeking for 21 working days so that the respondent can be detained at Industrial Police Station on the grounds that we need to take the respondent to Kenyatta National Hospital for mental assessment. 2, we need more time to record all eyewitnesses, which are nearly 30.
The defense said the suspect took himself to the police station and was the first one to report the incident to the police after it occurred.
The application placed before you be dismissed. Your Honor, my client was the first one to report the incident, and we are surprised that now the IO has overshadowed that. I accompanied him to verify what was circulating on various social media and the mainstream. Your Honor, before, the OCPD at the industrial area tried to unleash a Chuck Norris kind of movie scenario that they have arrested and apprehended the suspect. You know, therefore, the suspect is not a flight risk.
The impounded vehicle remains at DCI Makadara. Blood traces visible inside and outside. Forensic teams are preparing DNA tests to confirm whether the samples belong to Kennedy or the suspect.
There is also, Your Honor, another victim who is at the hospital, that is admitted in Kenyatta National Hospital. He's still fighting for his dear life.
The respondent is not being charged at this particular juncture. It is a process to allow for thorough and conclusive investigations to be done In short, I do find that the application filed herein has merit and it is allowed as prayed. 21 days for purposes of investigations are hereby granted.
The case will be mentioned on the 2nd of September 2026.
Now, as the suspect remains in custody for 21 more days, it remains another hurdle for prosecution to establish the motive of the murder. Ode Francis, Citizen TV, Makadara Law Courts, Nairobi.
Mukurweini lawmaker John Kagusha is set to answer to charges of alleged insightful statements on August the 19th. Principal Magistrate Teresia Nyang'ena fixed the date after hearing arguments from both the defense and the prosecution. Kagusha's lawyers insisted that the charge sheet is defective, saying it fails to identify the complainant. Melita Oletenges has that report.
They have infringed my privacy.
It was the second day in court for Mukurweini MP John Kagusha after he was released on a 250,000 Kenya shillings cash bail on Tuesday. On Wednesday, the defense and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions clashed over the validity of the charge sheet. Kagusha is charged with offensive conduct conducive to breaches of the peace through statements he made in Kieni, Nyeri County. But his lawyers argue the charges are vague and fail to identify the alleged victim.
It doesn't disclose who was incited, who was insulted, who was intimidated, who was abused. It only talk of that he spoke about a person called Kasongo.
The defense also questioned why the case is being heard at the Milimani Law Courts instead of Nyeri, where the alleged offense is said to have occurred.
Mahakama haya ama mahakama hii haina mamlaka ya kimaeneo, kwa sababu mamlaka ya kimaeneo ni mahali mheshimiwa anasemekana alitenda uhalifu.
Kagusha criticized the government over the circumstances surrounding his arrest, citing the deployment of masked officers outside Royal Media Services offices and the large security operation involved.
How would you detain me incommunicado, and even when you have a court order, high court order, you disregard that court order? It clearly shows that this government has no intention whatsoever to follow the law. And also, I take great offense with the 48 hooded, masked, armed men.
The MP also denied claims that he attempted to flee court on Tuesday after leaving the premises with DCP lawmakers.
The police here, in obedience of those court orders, allowed me to walk out. For all of you who are here, I did not run away. I did not escape. I walked out, got into my car, had some lunch just across here, and walked back to the court.
Melita Oletenges, Citizen TV.
The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, has appointed Ruth Kulundu as Acting Commission Secretary and Chief Executive Officer. This follows the expiry of Moses Sunkuli's 6 months tenure in the role. Kulundu, who has been serving as one of the Commission's 2 deputy CEOs alongside Obadia Keitani, will hold the position for 2 months or until a substantive CEO is appointed. As Emily Chebet now reports, she takes over at a critical time as the Commission gears up for the 2027 general election.
Exactly 1 year to the 2027 general election, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission is racing against time to fill one of its most critical positions, that of Commission Secretary and Chief Executive Officer. As the Commission's accounting officer and the person responsible for overseeing its day-to-day operations and implementing its decisions, the CEO plays a central role in delivering credible election. Following the end of Moses Sunkuli's 6 months acting tenure, the Commission's chairperson Erastus Ethekon has appointed Ruth Kulundu to steer its secretariat for the next 2 months or until a substantive CEO is recruited. In an internal memo dated August 4, 2026, Ethekon announced that Kulundu would officially assume the role on Wednesday, August 5, 2026, to ensure continuity as the Commission recruits a suitable person to the position. Kulundu has served with IEBC for several years and has been deputizing the immediate CEO Marjan Hussein Marjan, whose tenure came to an end in February 2026. after announcing the exit of Marjan Hussein Marjan on the 3rd of February. The commission bypassed Kulundu and her fellow deputy Obadia Keitan to appoint Moses Ledama Sonkuli, who served as Director Electoral Operations, a position he is now resuming after the 16th as the CEO. Kulundu's career at the commission has not been without controversy. In September 2022, the then CEO Marjan Hussein Marjan suspended her over allegations of gross misconduct, insubordination and participation in illegal activities. But the Employment and Labor Relations Court later reinstated her, allowing her to resume her duties at the commission. Emily Chebet, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
The Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions on Wednesday approved charges against 3 top bank executives over allegations of failing to report suspicious transactions linked to a 363 million shillings fraud case. In a statement, the ODPP stated that failure to report suspicious transactions is in direct violation of the Proceeds of Crime and Anti-Money Laundering Act. The case also involves allegations of theft of more than 363 million Kenya shillings from an investment company, where a former director is accused of forging signatures and company paperwork to authorize withdrawal of company funds. The ODPP has cleared 120 charges against Salim Mohamed Busaidi, including 114 counts of making a document without authority. Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki has challenged African leaders to shield long-term development projects from political transitions, warning that policy disruptions remain one of the biggest obstacles to the continent's growth. Speaking at the Infra Africa Forum in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, where he represented President William Ruto, the Deputy President said Kenya is embracing innovative financial models to accelerate infrastructure development. He called on African countries to pursue long-term development policies, saying the continent has the resources needed to attain first world status.
To Africa's development is policy disruption, which is an unintended consequence of democracy. The movement from one administration to another. We must find ways of insulating our development agenda from democratic transitions so that we can have continuity. And that is the discussion we're having in Kenya, generally.
Sulwe FM celebrated its 18th anniversary with a colorful celebration at its studios in Nairobi, commemorating nearly 2 decades of broadcasting excellence connecting with audiences across Western Kenya. The station's presenters paid tribute to listeners for their loyalty, describing them as the driving force behind Sulwe's remarkable growth since its launch in 2008, helping the station become one of the region's leading radio stations. Royal Media Services Director for Radio and ICT, Fred Afune, said advances in technology have transformed radio broadcasting by making content more accessible to audiences across multiple platforms.
That we celebrate, and it has been a consequential voice for the target audience, and it has moved from just being a terrestrial, normal radio station to one that is available both audiovisually, through the airwaves and on digital platforms.
Ningependa kuchukua nafasi hii kuwashukuru sana mashabiki wetu, wadhamini wetu, wasikilizaji wetu, kila mtu, watangazaji wenzangu ambao tumeshikana kuona kwamba miaka hii 18 Sulwe FM inaendelea kupepea.
Hizi radio za Western zimelock the entire Western. Hata interview ikifanywa unaona kwamba imereach kila mtu. So tunawapongeza kwa kazi nzuri ambayo mnaendelea kufanya. Tuendelee kuimpact lives za watu.
Tutaendelea kuwaletea vipindi za kilimo, mafunzo na hata taarifa. Tunasema asanteni sana kuja Sulwe FM.
Isa hia nena se shombo esta mtonye Luchivia.
Yeah.
Your guest is here.
That's right. Yeah. And he is from the party of the late Mwai Kibaki. Yeah. Peter Munya, former cabinet secretary, former governor of Meru County.
Pioneer governor.
Pioneer governor. And now he's in a little tussle, it seems, with DCP party leader Rigathi Gachagua. Mike haiko sawa? Kwa hivyo hawezi ongea? Tungeongea. Lakini tutaongea. After the break. Keep tweeting at Koinange Jeff.
At Ayub Abdikadir.
Citizen Free Kenya. The hashtag is JKLive. JKLive 6 week. We'll be back with PNU party leader Peter Munya. What are his thoughts? What's going on between him and Ricky G? Back in a moment. It is 55 minutes past the hour. Welcome back to Jeff Koinange live on the bench today. Party of National Unity PNU leader Peter Munya, former cabinet secretary, former governor of Meru County, and now seems to be in a tussle with DCP leader Rigathi Gachagua. Take a listen to what the DCP leader had to say today at Wamunyoro in Nyeri County. Take a listen.
I want to clarify today that DCP and Rigathi Gachagua welcome all political parties. They come. We compete fairly. The only thing hatutaki mashindano ni kitimo ya rais peke yake. Hiyo tunataka tuelewane zote. And since Munya anasema one term, Muturi anasema one term, huyu Kivuti anasema one term. Iko vita wapi? There's no problem. They are all saying the same thing. The only difference is the level of activity. So how do we talk with the people who have not consolidated anything? Sasa wewe kama unakuja peke yako kwa mkutano na ile siasa ya kutafuta urais, utaongea na nani? Wewe uko peke yako unatembea kama miti. You are alone at you order masukumuso kwa hoteli. How do you talk to somebody ana watu? Sisi nakwambia wewe enda sanya watu. Then tukuje kwa mesa tuanze kuketi.
Waziri, he says, nyinyi hamuna watu mnatembea peke yenu. You're alone. What's going on?
That's the kind of language we are saying is demeaning. And we would ask him, and we have asked him in our press conference, to use respectful language when he is addressing other leaders. How do you say people have no people? I mean, I lead a party called PNU, an old party. You've seen meetings I've been doing everywhere, in Meru. You've seen me in political activities. I've been elected leader for a long time.
Yeah.
How can you say I don't have any people? That is demeaning. And I think it behoves Gachagua at his level of leadership. You have been a deputy president to speak in better language when discussing other leaders.
Do you think he's...
And that's what you are saying is divisive language.
Yeah. Do you think he's acting as like a bully?
That's what he is. He's not acting as a bully, he's a bully. You saw when he talked about the governor of Muranga the other day, calling him Kierere and telling him, and the governor was attacked by goons when he went to Olkalau. We think he needs to act more responsibly when dealing with leaders and everybody else, all human beings.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be leaders only. Be more responsible. Use your language in a more courteous manner. You'll go further than you have gone.
But tell me something. Have you tried to have a private discussion with Gachagua? Have you tried, rather than airing it in public, have you tried to talk to him privately?
Sometimes you talk to somebody privately and you see it's not happening, it's not changing. You just keep quiet and reaches a point where you feel you must express that publicly. There was a time when he was deputy president. I have never had any issues with him. I've never quarreled with him. In fact, I was one of the best friends of his late brother. I went to visit his brother in hospital in the UK, representing other governors. I was representing governors in the funeral of his brother. Immediately he was elected, he went to Meru. He said, Munya is a musaliti. He said publicly, Munya is a musaliti, he needs to walk slowly. I don't know when I had walked very fast, where, and what I was saliting. So we don't have anything personal against Mheshimiwa Gachagua. We respect him. He has done a lot of work in terms of exposing the failures of the current government, especially after being impeached, because he was also a big defender of this government when he was inside the government. So we respect him, we want to work with him, but we want him to the tendency of wanting to be a dictator and issuing threats to other people, he needs to stop it.
Tell me something, Waziri.
And it is important that he lets people judge when the elections are done, who has the people and who doesn't have people. I think I have a lot of supporters. I've been elected several times. I can't be lacking people.
Then how come your party got less than 30 votes or 38 votes in Okalau?
Well, read what the young man who ran said. He has already posted something there saying why he ran. He came to our office. He pleaded that he needed to run because he's a young man. He needs to get experience because we didn't want to run anyone. We said, because I also ran when I was a very young man. I said we can't stop the dream of this young man merely because we know he can't win. We said let him get the experience. We knew he wouldn't get much votes. You didn't even see me campaigning for him there. Yeah. But he insisted, as a young man, he needed to be given an opportunity to start experiencing politics for the future. The young girl also came to my office with elders from Mumuru and Kir, 27-year-old girl, came with elders to my office. She also said she wants to run. And I asked her, why are you not running in the parties that are popular in your area? She said it is because PNU is the only party that had done a lot of work in Mumuru and Kir during Kibaki's time. That's why they have chosen to run in the party. I said, in this case also, I can't destroy the dreams of a young person who is 27 years merely because I can see they are not likely to win. Yeah. Politics is about participation.
Politics is
not about winning only.
It's about numbers as well.
Well, numbers, it is. It's also about participation. You can't exclude young people, marginalize them, because you think they can't win. One of the principles of PNU is to support young people in leadership. And be winning is not an event. There are people who win first time. There are others who lose, who win the second time or the third time. A lot of people, I mean, it is winning and losing. It's part of it. So to demean those who don't win an election and call them names and say they have no people is again demeaning. He does not understand the Constitution of Kenya, the right to participate in elections, freedom of association. Those are the fundamental rights we are telling him. Stop trundling on them. They are important, even as much as winning is important.
So
and you know he led an election in Mbere.
Yeah, in Mbere, yes.
He was the lead campaigner. That candidate lost. Did he win? So in politics, there is winning and losing.
But that was a DP candidate, not DCP.
Irrespective. Why did he become a DP candidate when he lost? Because he was in the forefront for the campaign, for that candidate. So if he loses, it's not his candidate.
Okay.
If he wins, it is his.
Fine. DCP won.
They can't choose, blow out and code.
Sure, but DCP won in Okalau.
As I've said, you can win and lose. One time you win, another time you lose. They won. I am not saying that. We congratulated him. Even in rallies in Meru, I congratulated him. And I said it's a good example for the opposition. Does that mean he should demean us because he won in Okalau? When he loses, what will he do?
Tell me something. This bullying attitude that you describe, do other principals in the opposition feel the same way?
I think so. I think so. I can tell you. I don't want to give names, but there's that general feeling that he's a bully. And he does that publicly all the time. How many times has he said, people with a few votes, even now you're saying, we don't have people. Isn't that bullying? Come with people. And he's acting like a prefect. Is he the one who decides who brings what people and where, who has appointed him those positions? So we are saying if we really want to win, let us look at the bigger picture. Let us treat each other with respect. Let's sit down and discuss, look for a structured manner in which we can bring the opposition together, and then we can be able to face our opponents who is the current president and his government.
Waziri, I want you to take a listen to what you and Justin Muturi and Lenny Kivuti had to say yesterday in the press conference. Let's take a listen to that.
Why are you saying, in the absence of those other leaders of those parties, why are you telling them to dissolve and join DCP? And you just say, you formed your party the other day, you found these parties in existence. What has prompted you to think that they should dissolve and join these new outfits?
We also reject any impression that Honorable Gachagua has been appointed or mandated to speak on behalf of all the people or political parties associated with the Mount Kenya region. Nor has any consensus been reached conferring such authority upon him.
And we are part of the united opposition. So, would you rather have us not talk anything about the reorganizing, about the self-respect, about, how things should be? You'd like us to keep quiet until we sit in a boardroom?
Waziri, why is the united opposition so divided?
We have differences of opinion. It's some of those also the utterances of our brother in that part that is causing this division. But I'm sure they are not insurmountable. We can sit down and discuss and be able to reach somewhere. And I'm happy with what he has said, even though he used condescending language. I'm happy he said he has retreated in terms of saying the other parties should resolve. He has taken back his words. So we are just telling him to tone down his language in terms of denigrating other leaders. And then let's create an atmosphere where we can be able to sit down as opposition leaders and be able to agree on the way forward in terms of presenting one candidate to face the Wunda candidate.
And you've got 12 months to do this. Can you people unite behind one candidate the way you are so divided right now, the way you are fighting amongst yourselves? Can you unite in this time, in the 12 months?
12 months is a long time in politics. We can, and we have started. You saw us at the SKM Center reorganizing Azimio, and we have several parties, many parties. We have invited other parties also to join. Linda Mwananchi is in the process of transforming itself into a party, and they have also indicated the likelihood of joining. Gachagua and the chairman of Azimio have been having discussions on the possibility of Gachagua and his outfit also joining. What we are saying is to create an environment where we can be able to work together, we need to reduce that bravado and name-calling and condescending language in our discussions, even as we compete, because nobody is saying we don't compete. We are competing for candidates. He's looking for candidates. I'm looking for candidates. Other leaders are looking for candidates. We are all in agreement that the top seat will represent one candidate. What we need is a structured way and a transparent way in which we can be able to pick that one candidate. And I think the environment we are in now, where we are talking at each other and calling each other names and demeaning each other, is not the right environment for that kind of discussion. We are telling him that he needs to tone down that language if he is interested in actually the success of the opposition.
What if he doesn't?
Well, I mean, why can we assume he won't? Yeah, you can see he's already retreating in his language. So I don't want to assume that he will not.
But he told you today in that function, he says, "Nyinyi ni kama miti, hamwezi kutembea yeah, you are valueless politically."
That's why I'm happy he's not a presidential candidate. Because I don't think I would want that kind of a person to be, I would not support that kind of a candidate, a person to run the country. Because those dictatorial tendencies are the same ones we are saying we don't want in the current government. How can you call people meaty, walking like sticks? I think there's something wrong with something wrong with him. And he needs to address that very urgently. Yes.
Tell me something. Did this come up at Monday's Azimio Council meeting, which was attended virtually by former President Uhuru Kenyatta? Did it come up?
What?
This matter of the bullying and the dictatorial...
In the discussion, the general discussion?
Yes.
Not at all. We consulted me, Justin Muturi, and Lenny Kivuti on this particular matter. And we decided to make a statement. Because he talked about our parties. He didn't talk about Wiper. He didn't talk about even Jubilee, even though he has talked about Jubilee in the past. He talked about our parties. DP, PNU, the Mbas party,
Mbas, yes.
and another party led by Kawira. So we consulted and said we needed to make a statement that would advise him to change his ways.
When were you asked to dissolve your party?
He was in a church function in Meru, and after the church is when he addressed Mindia in a rally and said we need to solve our parties and join the Mulima party. He says DCP is a Mulima party. One party, one people, one region. That is his approach.
Yeah. Are you going to dissolve PNU?
We refused to dissolve PNU. Remember, there was a time parties were being merged to support President Uhuru Kenyatta for his second re-election. We refused. We actually went to court to ensure that PNU does not merge, because we believe Kenya, being a multi-party democracy, requires us to have multiplicity of parties so that ideas can compete. When you narrow down to a monolithic political system, you start taking us back that path we have gone before, where we had one party called KANU that was dictating everything, and the country was in a lot of problems. So we believe for our country to prosper and the democracy to grow, we need a multiplicity of parties. And that's why we keep defending that position whenever we see some dictatorial tendencies emerging, and we can see them emerging.
And yet PNU has...
And if you look at, for example, other areas where you have one party that has been dominating for a long time, you see certain challenges when it comes to people expressing themselves and new ideas coming. So we believe that parties must compete, big or small. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being big, neither is there anything wrong with being small. That's why even people are not the same. Some are big, some are small. They are all God's people.
And yet PNU has 0 MPs in parliament. So maybe Rigathi Gachagua has a point.
I think he doesn't understand it. Last election, I was a cabinet minister. I wasn't even the party leader in the last election, remember? So I didn't post any candidates to run in PNU. So I'm building the party now. Let him wait for the coming election. We will have very many MPs, very many MCAs. If you do some opinion polling in certain regions, for example, Meru, you see PNU is the most popular party in Meru as we speak. So, parties, Hunda was the biggest party, is the biggest party in parliament now. Can they even have one MP in Mount Kenya right now as we speak? So let's not look at things in that very narrow lens of looking at now. Politics keeps developing, parties keep growing, some go down, others go down, depending on the circumstances and depending on the leadership at that particular point. Last election, I was not a candidate. I was promoting the candidature of Raila Odinga. I didn't post any candidates. Actually, I promoted Jubilee candidates, and the Jubilee candidates won in Meru. So we have Jubilee candidates whom I was supporting as the campaign chairman of that region that time, and they won. Yes. Meru actually produced 3 MPs on Jubilee ticket, which I was supporting.
Tell me something. You were there in 1992 during the multi-party democracy, right?
Yes.
Do you see a repeat, a deja vu of 1992? Yani nguruwe inajikaranga na mafuta yake.
In terms of?
The split between Matiba and Jaramogi then. This was done by Moi. Moi was tactical. And it might be the same thing in 2027.
Well, I don't want to... that danger is always there, of course. Governments will always try to divide people. And this government can only survive, in my view, if it is able to put a wedge of division in the opposition ranks. And that danger is there. And that's why we are saying a key player like Gachagua needs to do better than he's doing in terms of trying to bring people together. Remember, Azimio lost last election by 200,000 votes.
Yes.
So those are not a lot of votes. And you can lose even with less. You can lose even with 50,000. You can lose even with 20,000. Now, some of these people you are calling small, and calling them trees walking, are the people who could bring you that 50,000 votes or 100,000 votes to make you win. So we are telling him he needs to be more mature in how he addresses these things. Even as he grows his parties, and he feels good about it.
When you look
For instance, you can see now people in Kisii reacting the same and saying they are being not treated well. If they moved out tomorrow, how many votes are those? They left opposition because of that kind of treatment.
When you look at the United...
When I'm saying that, I'm not saying Gachagua is the one who has the responsibility to bring everyone. I'm saying we all have that responsibility.
Is he the weakest link in the opposition?
He's not the weakest link. He's done a lot of work in terms of promoting the opposition politics. I don't want to be unfair to him. But he has also very serious weaknesses that we are telling him to address. Because, you know, the politics cut both ways. You could do very well in terms of opposing the government like he is doing. But at the same time, you're also causing havoc in terms of dividing the people. So we are just telling him, and we have done it. He seems to have heard because he has talked the way he has talked. We believe eventually we'll tone down and we'll be able to work together.
Yeah. He
has even said, come and work together. And I hope he's saying, come and work together in a structured manner, because some of us won't go to Amunyoro. We can't go to somebody's house to discuss national issues and make national decisions. We need neutral meeting places where everybody is comfortable, where we can be able to discuss that structure, an inclusive structure that allows all the forces in the opposition to participate in the discussions. Then we are able to arrive at one presidential candidate for the coming elections.
I guess what a lot of critics are saying is that, are we going to be able to get a 2002 moment where Raila said, Kibaki tosha? Are we going to get that in 27? Or will the opposition be so divided that, you know, this is going to be a done deal?
I don't think the opposition, from what I'm hearing and the discussions we are having within the opposition, we have a lot of hope in terms of arriving at one candidate. We have a lot of hope. What we require is, as I've said, is that ability to speak together. And remember that has started with the Azimio, the coalition coming together and talking to other like-minded parties. So the differences are not as big as the impression being created. It is possible to talk. We can be able to talk. He has also said so. All we are saying is, let's not let our own individual ambitions blind us to the reality that we need to all work together. When I'm saying this, I am not a presidential candidate myself. I'm running for the position of Governor of Meru. But I know we need a good government at the national level, even for devolved units to do better. Because remember, resources come from the national government. So if the national government is not doing well, even counties will not be able to do well. So even as we play at the county level, we still require a responsive government at the national level. That's why we are working to arrive at that goal.
Yeah.
I would also want to say that I don't have a problem with Gachagua having candidates running for governor in Meru. I have never told him to stop having a candidate. He has a candidate. He can have a candidate everywhere. I have never ran unopposed anywhere for the period I've been in leadership. I've never been unopposed. So I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, well, we're going to take a break, come back and talk some more about this Mount Kenya region, east versus west. The mountain is becoming quite slippery right now. What's the division? What can the mountain unite in 2027? Also, Kisii leadership, they're speaking out. Yeah, Anthony Kibagende, you heard the other day, right? So they're speaking out.
Just today, actually.
Just today.
Yes.
So I want to talk more about that. And also, if Gachagua is listening to you right now,
yes,
think about what you're going to tell him to his face. Right?
Thank you.
And don't worry, and don't forget, the president is watching all this from afar. He's the guy who has the cards. He's the chess master, grand master.
So he thinks.
Peter Munya's in the house, PNU party leader, former cabinet secretary, former governor of Meru. You're running for governor again?
Yes.
Oh, breaking news. Keep tweeting at Koinange Jeff, at Citizen TV. The hashtag is JKLive. JKLive takes a break. We'll come back, do a little business, a little sports, and back with PNU party leader Peter Munya in a moment.
Time for business on the broadcast. A section of sugarcane farmers from Migori County have called for presidential intervention and speed up the process of disbursing 270 million shillings arrears owed to the farmers and honor the pledge made before the leasing of the government-owned sugar mills. South Nyanza Cane Farmers Union Secretary Agwins Adongo decried what he said was the lack of goodwill to implement sugar reforms, saying their calls to local legislators to push for the disbursement had not been heeded. The Kenya Sugar Board had indicated that the arrears were to be cleared in the 2026-27 financial year following the approval of the budget, with farmers claiming that the promise is yet to be honored. The government owed sugarcane farmers 2.2 billion Kenya shillings in arrears and had begun staggering the payment process plan in 2024.
We have to borrow here and there to get money. And we are asking the government that they promised us that they were going to pay this money some times back. But it has now rolled to a year plus when we have not seen the money coming.
It cut across the counties, Migori County, the Homa Bay County, farmers from Kisii County, farmers from Narok County. These farmers are still crying that they get their payment arrears. The arrears is just a little money. We cannot stay walking to the offices and there is nothing happening.
Telecommunication customers raised at least 670 complaints with the communications in the final quarter of the financial year 2025-6. Out of these complaints, 548 or 82% were resolved, while 122 cases remain under active follow-up. This, as the authority says, it reflects on its commitment to ensuring that customers receive fair, timely and effective redress, as Jimmy Mbogo tells us in the following report.
Under review, customer complaints largely range from the quality of service, digital financial services, fraud and scams, SIM-related security risk, cyber crime, criminal use of ICT infrastructure type approval of customer premises equipment, billing issues, data privacy and broadcasting services. Out of the 670 complaints, telecommunication complaints accounted for the largest proportion of escalated cases at 239 complaints, followed by digital financial services and mobile money at 110 complaints. Cybercrime and criminal use of ICT infrastructure accounted for 75 complaints, while broadcasting had 42 complaints, even as postal and courier services posted 13 complaints. The report further shows that out of the 239 telecommunication complaints received, a majority were related to service quality, including 22 on data quality, 13 on voice quality of service complaints, 14 on data service interruption, with 35 complaints on delays and failure in service provision. A further 20 complaints were on service termination, 7 on cases of network inaccessibility, and 75 complaints relating to billing and charging of data services. In the broadcasting sector, consumers also reported complaints relating to quality of service, frequency interruption, service interruption, and content and programming standards, highlighting the need for continued oversight of networks and broadcasting infrastructure. The authority received 110 complaints relating to digital financial service and mobile money, this including 86 complaints involving fraud and scams. A trend that the authority now says underscores the importance of coordinated regulatory approach that not only protects consumers but also promotes trust and confidence in Kenya's digital ecosystem. Additionally, in the same period under review, the authority received complaints relating to data breaches, where 19 complaints were filed. Another 10 touched on confidentiality and privacy breaches, while unauthorized sharing of personal information saw 10 complaints raised, signaling growing consumer concerns over the protection of personal information and security of digital communication. Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
A government program meant to bring electricity and clean water to Kenya's most remote communities has come under sharp scrutiny in the Senate Energy Committee. Senators questioned delays, disputed completion, and dates and the circumstances under which a 20 billion Kenya shillings World Bank loan to fund the program was approved. Appearing before the Senate committee, the Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation defended the implementation of the Kenya Off-Grid Solar Access Project, maintaining that the program is right on schedule. Jasmine Wamboi has that report.
Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation found itself on the spot before the Senate Energy Committee as lawmakers questioned whether the Kenya Off-Grid Solar Access Project COSAP is delivering on its promise to bring electricity and clean water to some of the country's most underserved communities. The World Bank funded program is intended to expand electricity access through solar-powered mini-grids and solarized boreholes across 14 off-grid counties. But senators are now challenging the pace of implementation.
REREC is telling us that the people of Turkana West, or Opoi, will have to wait for the year 2058 for their boreholes to be completed. Nakwangat will have to wait for 2057. So this is Ruto's vision 2060 to solarize a borehole. CEO, these are your documents.
REREC, however, attributes the decades-away completion dates to a computer error.
Really, media, you don't pick this up because it is a. Do you want me to call it a computer error or something? It was just an Excel sheet. We have corrected it in this document, Chair, which I wish to submit to the committee. The completion date I want to clarify is 30th of September.
But the questions did not end there. The committee then turned its attention to the financing behind the program, demanding answers over how the primary World Bank loan agreement for the project was signed on September 5th, 2017.
We need to get the CS Energy here to tell us who is this who was signing 20 billion loan in September, 2 days after nullification of a presidential election. This is messy. This is stinky.
The committee also wanted to know whether the billions borrowed had translated into actual projects on the ground.
And to date, 10 years down the line, not a single borehole has been solarized. Not a single mini-grid has been completed.
An assertion that REREC CEO strongly rejected.
We have done a few mini grids in your region, Senator. We have, I don't know, Takawiri has been done. We have done Mageta, we have done Ngothe. We are currently implementing Kibogi.
The committee also sought assurances that the corporation is independently verifying projects before reporting progress.
I'm asking you if you have sent people in 2026 to verify that this COSAP project is on the ground in Tana River County.
Even this committee needs to go down and see what the government is doing.
The COSAP project is valued at $150 million. REREC is tasked with implementing components worth $31 million. The agency says the projects are expected to improve electricity access, provide reliable water supplies, and spur economic growth in remote communities. Jasmine Wambui, Citizen TV.
Pearl millet, once a staple in Kenya's dryland communities, is making a steady comeback. With erratic rainfall and rising temperatures threatening food production, scientists and farmers are turning to improved varieties of the crop as climate-smart solution. On Smart Farm Edition tonight, Dennis Otieno tells us of the potential of the crop to transform farming in arid and semi-arid areas.
At these demonstration plots in Kiboko, Makueni County, run by the International Maize and Wheat Improvement Center, scientists, seed companies and farmers are revisiting pearl millet, a crop that had nearly been forgotten. Farmers listen as researchers walk them through different trial varieties, each bred to withstand harsh conditions and deliver better yields.
In this field, we have 28 pearl millet varieties that we are testing for yield and other traits like the panicle length, dual purpose nature.
Among those keenly observing is Kiati Yambu, a farmer from Tito Andei. For him, this is more than a field visit. It's a search for answers in the face of changing weather patterns.
When I came here, I was very much pleased to see a variety of crops, more so the pearl millet. I've been to the farms, I've seen a variety of them. Quite pleasing. I hope I'll get some seeds from the Caro under the multiplication program, and that will get me money in my pocket and do my other business. I have about 40 acres.
Nearby, Leonard Mbwiko, a retired teacher, examines the crop closely, taking notes as he moves from one plot to another.
It can also be produced in our area because previously, those good days or those old days, we used to grow. But now, because of lack of people to protect it from birds, I think we almost stopped. But now I've seen there are some which are bird resistant.
Researchers are introducing improved hybrid varieties that mature faster, yield more, and tolerate drought conditions.
So this is a first of many activities that we are showcasing hybrid technology. So it is good for climate change, climate resilient in terms of our environment. And this is to see we are providing an alternative to other crops, and of course an alternative to to maize, an alternative to sorghum.
The aim is to bridge the gap between research and farmers, while also engaging seed companies to scale up production and distribution. Beyond household consumption, pearl millet is also finding new uses in livestock feed and brewing, opening up additional income streams for farmers.
When you look at the plant stand advantage, it produces more than what the average farmer would get on average. So we are looking at helping the farmers to increase their yields in terms of food and also in terms of putting money in their pockets.
With improved varieties and growing interest from farmers and seed companies, this hardy crop is helping communities adapt to climate change while strengthening food and nutrition security. Dennis Otieno, Smart Farm.
Time for some sporting action on the broadcast. Former champions Kakamega High School and St. Mary's Yala will meet in the boys' football final in this year's edition of the Kenya Secondary Schools Sports Association National Term 2 Ball Games. Kakamega needed extra time to edge out Menengai High School in 2-1, while St. Mary's Yala made a huge statement by blanking newcomers Takaba Day Secondary School from Mandera. In Rugby Sevens, hard-running Butula boys retained their crown after a comfortable 26-0 win over Cardinal Otunga High School. Cardinal Otunga had no answers to the pace and power of the Butula boys, who scored 4 tries with 3 conversions. Alex Okoth gave them 5-0 halftime lead before Ariel Shundu, Timona Waluocho and Robert Lidonde all scored and converted their tries in the second half. In the girls' final, Kinale also defended their title following a narrow 12-10 victory over Kimobo. A converted try from Daisy Valeri and another one from Sheldon Njeri gave Kinale a 12-0 lead at halftime. Kimobo scored 2 unanswered tries in the second half. And still on the secondary school games, the former champions, the Green Commandos and St. Mary's Yala, will again meet in the boys' final of this year's edition of the Term 2 Ball Games. And this follows the Kakamega High School needing extra time to edge out Menengai High School in 2-1, while St. Mary's also qualified after making huge statement by blanking out newcomers Takaba Day Secondary School. Here is part of the action from Thika in Kiambu County. The inaugural Hockey Fives Youth Africa Cup starts in Nairobi on Thursday, with 5 countries expected to take part in both the boys and the girls under-18 competition. Kenya will be joined by Nigeria, South Africa, Uganda and Ghana in the 3-day tournament at the Sikh Union Club. After 4 weeks of non-residential training, the Kenya Hockey Union selected 12 boys and 12 girls that will do duty for Kenya starting on Thursday. The technical benches led by head coach Griffin Okombe will have Kevin Lugalia handling the boys and Barbara Simeo handling the girls. The boys team is dominated by Musingu Boys High School with 4 players and St. Anthony's Kitale with 3 players. The girls team is a mixture with 9 schools contributing to the 12-member player. The technical bench has been working on team chemistry and polishing the set pieces during the past week's residential camp.
You know, Hockey Fives is a game that has high scoring, so it's very high scoring, and that's been one of our focus areas. However, we also need to know how to defend well, so generally defensive and offensive play.
Kenya Premier League champions Gor Mahia will take on Rayon Sports of Rwanda in the Sekafa Kagame Cup finals after a Navi 8-7 penalty shootout win over Sudan giants Al Hilal Omdurman. Rayon hammered Jamus of South Sudan 3-1 in the second semi-final. The game ended 1-1 in the relegation and extra time, forcing the game into dreaded penalty shootout to decide the winner. The Gor Mahia took the lead in the 37th minute as Al Hilal scoring an own goal. A minute before the break, Al Hilal drew level, the scores remaining 1-1 until the 90th minute, forcing extra time to try and break the deadlock. Substitute Jackson Duang was sent off after 2 yellow cards before the 90th minute. In the penalty shootout, Gor Mahia started on the wrong foot with Daniel Sakari missing the first kick. Al Hilal scored their next 4 penalties before Brian Omondi saving the 5th spot kick. Wesley Otieno missed the 9th spot kick for Gor Mahia, but then goalkeeper Brian Omondi converted his at Al Hilal lost the next 2 to hand Gor Mahia the win. Tanzania bowed out of the Women Africa Cup of Nations after a heartbreaking 2-1 loss at the hands of the Ivory Coast. Tanzania needed a draw to advance to the quarterfinals, but they were pegged back 2-0 by Ivory Coast before they got a consolation goal via stoppage time penalty.
Celebrates an opening goal right at the end of the first half. Bit of a scramble, but how about that for a fabulous finish? Great work and opportunity. They're moving again. Danger into the penalty box. Is that a penalty? It is a penalty. Conan waits, steps up. Conan takes Abbas the wrong way to make it 2-0 for the Côte d'Ivoire. So there's a bright future for these 15-year-olds. That's going to be a free kick, surely. That's going to be a penalty, and that'll be their first shot on goal. Penalty it is. Steps up, right foot, slots it into the corner, and a fantastic goal it is for the Twiga Stars. And a goal late in the game, big time, but what it means to these girls, they worked so hard, they found it tough against Côte d'Ivoire.